Alrighty, hello everybody, welcome back to the mania mLN3 tournament round of 64. We're truly in the thick of it now as we make our way through this round of 64 weekend. We have another very exciting matchup coming up for you guys in this pretty large block of matches. We have walmart5193 going against Zergh, a Canada versus Brazil matchup. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by none other than Dynascape. Dyna, how you doing?
Doing great, Sparky, as always. Real pleasure to have you in the booth with me, and you would be correct. This is quite the matchup. Seeds are pretty close. With this match, Walmart being seed 23 and Zergh being seed 42nd. And I was looking at the qualifier scores earlier between the two of them, and honestly, it's pretty close in a couple of skill sets. So definitely one of those where it could be anyone's game.
Yeah, absolutely. Once we get into the closer matchups, we have seen a couple of very far apart ones. We see some, I'd say, close matches for the relative skill level, but once we get into the nitty-gritty, those like 31, 32, going all the way out to like the mid and low seeds, that's really where the overlap starts to carry over, and we start to get some of those like sub 1,000 point differences between the players, and I can imagine this is going to be one of those matchups.
Yeah, I was gonna say that earlier today we had a match against Seth and Unitori where it was a 4-0, but it was a close 4-0. So hopefully one of these matches coming up here are going to be a bit closer in terms of how the games go, but I'm sure that with how comfortable everyone has seemed so far with the maps and the map pool in general, the score should definitely be close and come down to MA as it usually does.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we make our way through these warm-ups, this is going to be a pretty interesting one. This pack recently came out. I am very familiar with it. The True Scoliosis pack from Le Marcinho, wanting to make full LN charts, some pretty popular maps, and oh boy, does that does adding full LN to relatively comfortable rice charts make them borderline impossible to play.
Yeah, but you see here, Walmart is very comfortable. I'm not sure whose warm-up it is. I would guess Zergh's, possibly. But I mean, Walmart is absolutely killing it on this inverse so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you wonder whose it actually is. I'm sure we'll get some clarification once this warm-up is over. And those keen-eyed amongst you might realize that the skin looks a little bit different. We'll get that fixed up after this first warm-up is over. There were some edits made. I think this was like the beta first run of the skin when they were working on it. So we'll get that sorted out for you guys relatively soon.
Yeah, just the broken toss away build where the digits are extremely close to each other in all aspects of the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what happens when you get scoliosis. Everything kind of just scrunches together, and it becomes very hard to see things and do things. So this is actually uh, pretty apt for the map that they're playing, part of the map pack that it is titled from.
Yeah, definitely. Walmart, wow, is absolutely killing it. One thing I did want to note, looking over the notes really quick, is that in terms of density, at least when it came to qualifiers, Zergh actually came pretty close to Walmart, with Zergh being 38th and Walmart being 29th, his worst score in terms of seeding in the qualifiers. So I guess when it comes to that higher difficulty, Walmart is a very, very, very good player. So I can definitely see why he is so dominant in this warm-up.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see if they opt to go for some of the density picks in this pool. As we know, this one a couple of notches below what we just saw. So incredible performances nonetheless by both of these players. If you'll give us a moment to get everything truly situated on the skin side. Quick little peek at the map pool as we get everything settled.
And as your ears are blasted with this.
Ooh, okay, so a stability map coming in for the warm-up. This one is going to be Walmart's. We did get clarification that the Scoliosis pack song was indeed Zergh's. So Walmart showing off a little bit on the physicality front. It'll be interesting to see if they can transfer that more towards lower difficulty accuracy. So,
and I believe Zergh does enjoy playing a lot of low star accuracy maps. He has quite a bit of #1s under his belt, so I think MA should be no problem for him. In fact, it might even rival Walmart's when it comes to where we're at in the pool right now.
yep, so second warm-up, second attempt at getting the skin clarified here, so we'll get that straightened out before the match actually starts. For right now, we're just in the Mania World Cup. This is just a 1v1 now.
Yeah, 0 for 2 on the skin so far, but hopefully third time's the charm.
Third time is going to be the charm. But for right now, this one's definitely a little bit more technical oriented, a lot of release coordination shown off. So it's funny because I like to think that players like to take a couple of different approaches to the warm-ups, because since it is entirely LN in the map pool, some of them like to take the opportunity to play some Rice, just some like physical density things to get the fingers going. But I mean, true to form, we're in an LN tournament, gonna have a lot of LNs.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to note that the first part of the map did have a lot of shields as well. Not sure specifically what maps in the pool did have shields. I think in the density side of things, he did have a couple of patterns, but nothing too much because, again, it is round of 64. The patterns are pretty simple at this point, unless you get over to the technical side of things. But warm-ups are done. We're gonna go ahead with the rolls now.
Yep, gonna get into these match proceedings, gives us another chance to adjust things in the background as the players get everything situated. They did do a little bit of a test roll. Zergh won that one out. Unfortunately, it did not count before the warm-up started, so Walmart much better roll than the last time. 61 coming out from them, but Zergh still winning out 74, so gonna be able to determine if they want to go first or second in the match proceedings.
Yep, and Saimitsu actually rolling and getting third place. Somehow finds himself in last against 2 players, not even in the game.
Absolutely. So let's see what the protects are going to be. I feel like this is going to give us a lot of information in terms of the headspace of the players.
Yeah, and if I were Zergh, the closest qualifier compared to Walmart would be the coordination pick, where Walmart got 28th and Zergh got 32nd. So one thing I'd like to see possibly is Desperate, where in my opinion it's a lot easier to FC, so pretty much it comes down to MA. That would be a pretty good protect in my opinion for Zerg.
Yeah, I could see something like that coming out. And in terms of Walmart, I think you had spoken about the density disparity, so maybe something like Sailing Force or China Dress getting protected from them. So it looks like Zerg is going to opt to do things first, so we'll have our answers relatively soon. I could definitely see something like one of the 2 tech picks or even the wild cards get protected as well. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how often each skill set has been picked compared to the others, but I would think that in general the technical picks would be pretty popular.
Yeah, for sure. And true to form, you pretty much called it. Wrong map, but correct skill sets. It's gonna be Disco Kawaii being protected by Zergh here, one of those coordination picks. So we'll see what Walmart decides to protect here as before we go into the bans. Oh, and it is going to be a density pick coming out here. Sailing Force going to be the protect from Walmart. So basically 2 for 2 on the skill sets for the players.
We're pretty good at this, Sparky.
Yep, we just need to dial in just a little bit more. We want to make sure we get the picks correct as well. So for the bans, given that coordination and density have been protected, could the tech and wildcards getting taken out here? Something like Prayer or Promise.
Promise would be ooh, okay, so Zerg wandering over to Walmart's side of the map pool on the bottom half, going to strike out a density pick. We're gonna see if Walmart wants to do the same and go for a coordination.
Could say something like Tokyo Ghetto getting knocked out just because of the length, but it is gonna be Clematis, so a tech pick. Don't blame them. This one pretty hard to act your way through. Pretty easy to find yourself dropping a lot of 200s or even misses if you're not too comfortable with the patterning. So that will do it for the protects and bans. We're gonna get into the first pick.
And Zerg does have all 3 coordination picks available to him, whereas Walmart only has 2. So definitely something to look forward to for Zerg.
Oh, and it's gonna be Desperate coming out first. So not enough to be protected, but definitely enough to be picked to kick this match off. Remember, it is going to be a best of 7. First player to 4 points will be moving on to the round of 32 in the winner's bracket. Nobody going to be eliminated here just yet. Going to drop down into that lower bracket where they'll look to make the run, but hopefully we have a pretty close matchup here. Looks like the players are ready. We're going to get into this first map of this best of 7 and kick things off.
Oh yeah, and what a start to this match as well. We have Desperate. Again, as I said, I believe that it is probably the easiest map in the coordination pool to FC, if not this whole entire pool. So I believe that it'll just come down to MA in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And already we can see a pretty strong start from both players holding on to that 99.9 range. You'd imagine as the map progresses, those accuracies are going to tumble a little bit, but going to stay relatively high. I imagine anything below a 300 will really start to swing the tides as this map progresses. And already we can see going into the second quarter of the map, Zergh finding a bit of a rush of 300s, probably missing some of the releases here, dropping down to that 99.7 range. Walmart following not too far behind, 99.8 for them, but still holding on to this very narrow margin going into the second third of the map.
Oh yeah, and we see here as a couple more staggered releases come out to play, Zergh will take, I believe, 2 greats there. Walmart still holding strong, though that lead is pretty close. He has dropped down from a 99.9 plus all the way down to a sub 99.8 with Zergh trailing pretty closely behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Still able to maintain the margin, but the margin is shrinking. It is less than 0.1% separating both players going to the last third of the map. Walmart's still in the lead as Dan's able to climb back up into that 9.8 range, and this section very easy to find yourself rushing some of those anchored patterns, but everybody making it through relatively unscathed. Some more scattered releases, and Zergh's going to be finding the first break here, and that's going to be the cushion that Walmart needs to push themselves to the end of the map. Last over map left to go, and oh boy, that lead immediately skyrocketed over to the left.
Yeah, just something you really do not want to see, especially when it comes in the first round. You do expect a lot of these players to pretty much try to FC on this or these kinds of maps on command. However, Zergh does take an unfortunate drop and a couple 200s to boot alongside it after that miss. So in the end, it is going to be a Walmart with an impressive MA to boot.
Absolutely. First breakpoint going the way of Walmart here, winning on ratio as well. That slider break, very unfortunately timed, but probably wouldn't have been enough to make that much of a difference. Probably a 991 or 990 from Zergh, potentially lost there. But strong start for Walmart here, going back to their pick.
Yeah, and it's always really, really rough when you lose your first pick and you get that first breakpoint out of the way, especially when it's in a skill set that you think you're confident at. So hopefully for Zerg's next pick, he kind of goes for what he believes is the right choice and doesn't really mind much that he got that breakpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Still plenty of time. First map going over isn't the end of the world, but definitely want to not let it get to you too much. And it looks like Prayer is going to be the first pick from Walmart here, opting to go for one of the wild cards. One of the shorter maps as well. Sub 2-minute map. A lot of things can catch you off guard if you're not too careful here. See if Zergh can bring this back, or if Walmart can capitalize on that very early break point to make it 2-0.
Definitely. In terms of wild cards, this map is very, very well rounded. It kind of has. Oh, Walmart's gonna find a very early break, but it does have, as I was saying, something for everyone. Like fun for the whole family, you know. Prayer does have kind of these slight dense sections. It gets kind of technical, and there's of course the main focus are the LN stream sections as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into the second third of the map, Walmart with that one slider break very early on, able to be recovered from it. They're able to maintain the accuracy, already building back up to that 99.6 range, but Zergh holding strong on Walmart's pick here, 99.8 for them, and very crucially that FC still going, able to keep Walmart at bay despite the leader trending just a little bit to the left, but still firmly on the blue side as Zergh finds a slider break in return going into the back half of the map, and this is really going to hurt just given the location of that break. The lead going back over to Walmart going into this back half of the map.
Yeah, and as you said, Sparky, it is only 2 minutes long, so a miss is impressively deadly on a map like this, and with Walmart finding that early break, it was up to Zergh to just FC the map, not even care about accuracy, but unfortunately is going to take that drop in the midst of things as we get into this last section here. A couple of Elven streams to contend with, and we do see Walmart and Zergh doing very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Zergh finding a couple of 300s in that last section. Walmart taking the accuracy lead as well as the score lead. Played a little bit with fire there. It was looking really dicey at the beginning, but able to hold on, recompose themselves, and pull off an impressive score overall. And Walmart goes up 2-0 now.
Yeah, pretty clean breaks by the both of them. However, Walmart again winning out on the perfect count and the great count as well. So well played by Walmart to take his point, and this could be Zergh's last pick potentially, so definitely an important one to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. Would not be surprised to see Disco Kawaii come out here as a response, and right on cue it is going to be the pick here, opting to stay with the coordination picks is Zergh. And I mean, there are definitely some really tricky spots in this map. I can already think of some really, really tight timings towards the back half, where if you don't find yourself catching misses, you can definitely find yourself catching 200s or even 100s if you're not super dialed in.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about in the map, Sparky. Those gaps are super, super small. Like, pretty much, it's very, very hard to marvelous all of them. And there's a lot of good coordination elements as well, too, in this beginning section. Some tricky anchors are gonna start to come out.
Yeah, for sure. Everything's going to be relatively even here. A couple of small bursts, relatively non-trivial for players of this caliber. We see both players above that 99.8 mark. Walmart once again winning. On the accuracy front, going into the second quarter of the map, that lead is shrinking just a little bit here. It's about 0.1% as both players cross that 400 combo cap. And it's going to be very important for both of them to hold their nerve and not drop anymore. It was looking very dicey in that last pick, so this is going to be very important for the overall tide of the match.
Yeah, and Zergh actually dropping a 100 super, super late. And here are those tight gaps that you were talking about, Sparky. Seems like both of them are just having trouble trying to marvelous everything that comes their way.
Yeah, but Walmart comes out of it relatively unscathed, going into the back half of the map, still above that 99.8 range. Zergh dropping down to that 99.6, and that's going to give Walmart a bit of a cushion to work with going into this last third. Able to maintain those jumps a little bit better in the transitions, and as we get into a little bit more streamlined 1/4 patterning, it might be time for Walmart to pull away here just a little bit.
Yeah, not a lot left for Zergh in the map. There's just pretty much this inverse section. However, he's going to take a couple of bad judgments untraded by Walmart, and as we finish up this map, Walmart is going to be at almost a 99.8, a pretty sizable lead, so we're going to need to see either a slew of bad judgments or a drop. However, with the map finishing up, not going to see it. Walmart with a 992 and Zergh close behind with a 990, actually beating him on the grade count.
Yeah, that would have been a little bit closer, not for that 100. I think you pointed it out when it happened. Probably would have been sub 1,000 point difference, but still, nonetheless, Walmart able to win out on the accuracy front and make this match point going into their pick.
Oh boy, and he still has his protect. Yep, Sailing Force. Gonna go ahead and pick that immediately.
Yeah, without a doubt, no better time to do it. You usually protect maps that you're intimately comfortable with, and what better time to pull it out than in a match point situation. Try and close this out as soon as humanly possible. Don't want to give your opponent a chance to get back into the match if at all possible, so definitely can't blame him for pulling this one out.
And Sailing Force 2 is extremely fast. It is a density pick, so you know the majority of it is going to be dense sections. However, just like Prayer, there are a lot of LN streamy sections as well. And I kind of like how Pataraj made it so that it did have rates on it too, so you can kind of like test your LN speed and see how fast you can go.
Yeah, absolutely. Always appreciate it. And as we get this map started, we start to see a bit of the script being flipped here. Zergh actually holding on to the accuracy advantage out of this introduction, starts to even out as the map starts to go into those single LN streams, but it's basically the entire kitchen sink getting thrown at you very quickly, and you need to hold on as best as you can going into the second quarter of the map.
Yeah, this map is so quick, and relative to the other maps in the pool, I think it's extremely difficult. However, both players are doing really well, and Zergh is doing his best, his utmost to keep that lead to a minimum.
Yeah, absolutely. Inside of 0.1% going into the back half of the map, Walmart able to take over the lead here able to recompose themselves, keep that UR bar relatively centered. I think Zergh is releasing just a little bit late, maybe the speed catching up to them just a little bit here, but it's still anybody's game going to the last third of the map.
Yeah, and all it takes is one drop by Walmart, or again, a
Ooh,
couple
is
of
that
200s. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be a 100 out of Walmart. Super, super late release. So, I mean, the score is almost evened up. Zerg is gonna get a 200, but it's gonna be traded back by Walmart. Last core of the map, and there's only one more course left to deal with.
Yeah, it's gonna start to pick up in this outro here. Last sliver of map left to go. Last hope for Zergh to try and do something about the scoreline here. It is still 0.1%. It feels like that has been the margin of error for both of these players, and it is in favor of Walmart as the map comes to an end, and it is going to be Walmart closing it out 4-0 with a very impressive 993, even with that singular 100.
Oh yeah, super, super strong showing by Walmart. Just flexing his MA, his ratio. Great, great scores all around. And Zerg doing his best to try to catch up to Walmart this whole entire set. However, just could not find any inroads for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Not the end of the line for Zerg. We'll be dropping down into that lower bracket where they look to make the run. But congratulations to Walmart for moving on in the LN3 tournament to the round of 32 winners bracket. And I believe we don't have any other concurrent matches, if I recall correctly. But we do definitely have some matches coming up at the top of the hour. If we can pull up the schedule. We're going to have Neoke going up against Link here in about 35 minutes time, as well as that Spanish matchup. Shiro Perez Fresa going up against Enthalpy as well. So we'll be bringing you guys one of those two matches, and if one concludes before the other one does, we'll definitely bring you guys as much LN action as we can. But Dinah, unless you have anything else to say?
No. Pretty much we'll see you in about half an hour. Just gonna take a quick water break, quick bathroom break, but we'll get right back into the thick of it soon.
See you guys then.